Hello, this is CJ, and this is the Move Push Men's Group, our meeting of August 28th, 2026. And I'm on with Craig and Mike. I'm in Vietnam going to the dentist. And anyway, we've got a few topics we've been talking about. And let's see what we got here. We were talking about adults staying with parents. When do kids become adults? And we were kicking around some milestones. And I think Mike's had to do with a young man and a woman. Mine was, I think you're an adult when you pay your own bills, no longer rely on your parents. But maybe it's not that simple. Did we flesh this out, or we got to talk about this some more?
I think it's a far more complex topic than that.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're just what you were saying, CJ, just reminded me that my grandson in Auckland, his name's Theo. So he's 18,
Hmm.
just turned 18 last month, early this month, sorry. Um, he's he's got a girlfriend. He goes and stays at his girlfriend's place. They're lovely people, the parents and everything. She's a stunning girl. Um, they sleep together. She comes back to his place. He's got a full-time apprenticeship as a uh, what do you call it? An auto electrician. So he's working full time. Um, he's paying board to a certain degree, nothing like he should be, but he's paying some board. His parents are still trying to manage his money side of things. Um, and well, he's just bought another vehicle. The first one didn't last that long. It had a few issues, and I think he crashed into something or whatever. But he's it's a learning process. He's learning to be an adult, and he makes some stupid mistakes. He's learning how to handle money. He's he seems to be in a reasonably serious relationship. It's all way too early, I believe, but um, yeah. So adulthood, he's right on the cusp of it.
I think we should have something like the tribal societies did, probably still do, where there's initiation of some kind of event or test or something like that. And then, once you pass that, then you're an adult in the view of the tribe. And from that point forward, I think that's how it works. But in our modern Western society,
Yeah.
we don't really have that. So, um,
What ethnicity has the removal of foreskin to bring them into adulthood?
Jewish, Jewish.
Hey,
No, foreskin's removed. No, Jewish foreskin's removed at birth.
yeah, that's
but
done at
there's
birth pretty
oh
much.
yeah,
Um,
but I think there is a
They have a
culture
bat
that
mitzvah at
does it
about
for
13
adults.
or 14, don't they?
Sorry.
They have a bat mitzvah at 13 or 14,
Oh,
which
okay.
is the same sort of adult ceremony. Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah, there's some of those African tribes do pretty horrible things to their young men to turn them into so-called adults.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
we seem
those,
to be a bit
yeah,
more civilized.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe for us it's they leave home and go on an OE, fend for themselves for a little while.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just coming back to your one, CJ, of whether when they leave home, unfortunately some people just don't leave home and become financially independent.
Yeah,
Well, they're still an adult.
I suppose.
The law sees them as an adult well, in our country at 18, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
They can vote, they can do everything an adult
yes.
can do, and under the law, they're treated as an adult.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's another issue. Okay. Well, I don't know if we have any failure to launch issues among people we know. Um, I can't really think of any. I've got a daughter and then my nephew's a year older than her. I think they both live independently, so which is difficult to do for young people uh, in this economy and in the US and probably where you guys are too. Just everything's so expensive.
Mm.
And inflation's gone way beyond what the wages have stayed up with. So I think that's why that issue popped up for me because I talk about adulting. We've turned that into a verb with my daughter and me on some of our
Yeah.
conversations. And so, how's your adulting going? Which is
Oh, nice.
a not too intrusive way of saying, are you paying your bills and staying afloat okay? Need any help? Uh, though both my ex and I do send her a little bit of money monthly um, because, well, in her situation, without going into too much detail, she doesn't always get sufficient work from the company she works for. And then, the inflation I talked about earlier. So combining those two things, she comes up short sometimes. So I just made it part of my budget to kick her a little cash, and she seems grateful. And she did mention in our last call that she wants to get to the point where she doesn't need it anymore. So we'll see if that pans out that way.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
signal of an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think of her mostly as an adult, except she's still my little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it comes down to taking care of themselves, and
Mm,
that's financially and not just, I mean, they can take care of themselves, and still be living at your place. But if they're still living at home and they're not contributing to the costs of the house, and I'm not just talking about the nominal board that we put on kids, which is a token thing, but really paying their way as a working adult in the family, or in the, like, if it was like a flat, they would have to pay, their share of the rent and their share of the power and their share of the internet and all the other bills that go along with living independently.
mhm,
And they should be doing that at home as well if they're independent. Otherwise, they're not independent.
mhm. Okay.
Mm.
But I think too many parents are too soft on their kids. It's one thing helping out, but it's another thing um, delaying their independence because you keep supporting them.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. It's a different
Yeah.
generation of parenting too. So um, how we were
Yeah.
raised is quite a bit different than um, how this current generation is raised.
Well, I left home at 17, I think. I was flatting
Mhm.
from 17. Yeah, I went back home again and left again and went home again and left again. But once you've been out and lived and paid rent and paid all the costs, um, your appreciation, like my son's, as far as I'm concerned, he's not independent when he keeps bringing his washing home for mum to do. Yeah, that's not independence.
I used to bring my laundry to my parents on Sundays, but I did it myself. Is that
That's
distinction
different.
worth
That's
mentioning?
using the facility. That's You're still taking responsibility for doing it.
Hmm.
It's just like taking it to a laundromat, but you're dual tasking because you're seeing your parents at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's bringing it home for them to do, and yeah,
Hmm.
it's funny how boys have their mothers wrapped so much around their little finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is an interesting topic. When you get to be an adult, older adult, the power dynamic switches with your kids in that, they're usually less interested in the relationship. So usually whoever is less interested in the relationship has the power in the relationship. And I think what the moms might be doing with the laundry thing is, okay, if I do this for my kid, he'll see me more. Mm.
Yeah.
That could be an issue, but I've noticed that with my daughters, I'm the one usually reaching out to her, you know, and when I'm back there in the US visiting, I've got to stay on top of that, or she doesn't necessarily reach out to me because she has her own life, and that gets in the way. Mm.
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 Kind of liked it better when we had our Saturday afternoons pretty consistently. Mhm.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who wanted to move to Southeast Asia, so I guess that's on me.
Yeah.
All right. Frankie is apologizing he couldn't make it. Okay. Um, and then I don't know if we talked about this or not, but I want to talk about my life motto. Find what works for you and do that. And I think a lot of times we talk about, chasing our dream. And if you do what you love for a living, then you'll never work a day in your life. And there's truth to that, but only a very few people get to do that. Most of us have to do real work, to support ourselves. And it's helpful if we can do it on our own terms, do what we like. Um, Craig and I get to
Mm.
work remotely. That's pretty cool. And I like that a lot. So I'm kind of close in that myself, but I can't really say that, when I was 17, 18 years old, I had a burning desire to talk to people on computers for a living. But um, no, we didn't have the technology back then anyway, really. But but yeah, if you can, if you're good at something and you can turn that into money, I think that's ideal.
I I want to question that a little bit
Okay.
because sometimes you have something you love, but then when you make it your work, you don't love it anymore because it's,
Mm,
you know, I don't know, just for example, say it's baking or making cakes or something like that, and you make it into a business, then it just becomes work like everything else,
yeah.
Mm.
and there is the old saying of you have a job and a job stands for just over broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, um, but you're just like a lot of times when you have that passion and you do that thing, it just becomes a chore and you're still technically in a job or you're technically just over broke or sometimes are broke.
Mm.
Um, and it's not the just having the passion doesn't make it something that you can love forever. Um, and your interests and things change. I mean,
That's, yeah.
talking about jobs, the job I'm doing now, I'm absolutely loving, and it's not work, and I'm in that zone, but I don't know if I'd be in that zone if I was 20 years younger,
Hmm.
because I'd be wanting to do a whole lot of other things with my time besides what I do. But at this stage of my life and with what I'm doing, I'm just happy being focused on that. Absolutely love it. And it's not hard work and it's not a chore.
Yeah, and you're getting the you're getting the response from the people, the the appreciation. It's your job is so much better when you are appreciated or
Mm.
even thanked for what you do. Um, I find that with the job, my job's a lot more physical. Obviously, I'm installing these canopies and installing showers for people when they do renovations and things, but it's the response I get afterwards when they come and have a look and say, "Oh, that looks fantastic," and they love it. They just appreciate the work I've done, and that's a bigger reward than actually taking the money, if you know what I mean. It's if I didn't need the money, I'd be quite happy to just do that job for nothing,
Mm,
just for something to do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's
that's a sign that you enjoy what you're doing,
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it's like,
because it's the same for me. I'd be doing it whether I was getting paid or not.
mm, mm. I often think of musicians and the constant performing, and then they do a show, and I think we go to a show like that, and we think they're doing it especially for us, and in a way they are, but they've probably over the years they've done dozens and dozens of these shows, and I wonder whether they actually find it a bit burdensome, um, you know, a bit of
Burden here.
a bit of a burden, or whether they think, "Oh, I'm sick of this job," but they've got to keep doing it because it's big money for them and all the rest of it, or is it the feedback they get from the audience?
that's a good point. Do we do our work? I mean, I think it's for both, but which one is more of a driving force, the appreciation or finances?
Well,
Mm.
Um,
having appreciation for the work you're doing, when someone appreciates what you do, it's just so much better.
it is.
It makes the job more pleasurable. It makes the effort you put in feel worthwhile. And
Yeah,
and then when you're being constantly criticized, it makes it really hard work.
Mm. Yeah, it's
yeah,
kind of funny. Craig and I work for the same company, helping people out, with a crypto trading software and investment situation. But the people are just so happy when you solve their problem.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
I know. And, thank you so much. Thank you. And it's like, well, it's my job, so that's what I think. But I'll enjoy the gratitude while it's happening. But sometimes it just seems to be too much. It's
I
better than
tried to do
not at all. So,
I tried to do it before this meeting. I tried to do a Craig or a CJ or a Tuan for a friend of mine who came around, and we're trying to get into this website on his phone. Um, Not on his phone, on his computer, and it kept coming up with uh, an issue, and I wouldn't let him log in. But I could log into the same website on my computer, and then he could, when I got him onto my computer, he could log into the same website. We're on the same Wi-Fi, and I went through AI and went through all the different things, and we tried everything. We tried clearing this and clearing that and control shift R and the whole works, and it just nothing would work. Anyway, he ended up leaving, and I felt completely dissatisfied because I hadn't been able to help him.
yeah,
Um,
that's the other side
and
of it.
he and he went home with completely confused.
Oh
Uh,
no.
so it's great when you solve it, but when you can't, it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't give up easily, but um, yeah.
Okay. Next on my list is no growth occurs within one's comfort zone. You got to push it. You got to get uncomfortable. this is something I've been learning in a group I belong to related to affiliate marketing. And yeah, I think there's some truth to it, but it just seems like nothing really memorable happens at our convenience, nothing worthwhile. And I was curious if you guys had any examples or thought this was true or not, or disagree if you want, but um, anything to share on this?
Well, just the trials and tribulations I had on my trip that I talked about last week. They're growth experiences.
Yeah, that was a big step up for you. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? How'd you feel about that? Were you confident? Were you a little unsure about it?
Well, the situation was that I arrived back at my B&B and found that I hadn't booked that night and I didn't have a bed that night. And it was quite late at night and I didn't really know what to do. Um, and it was really a money issue because if I was prepared to pay enough money, I could have found somewhere to stay. So it was partly a choice thing that I just didn't want to spend that much money on a bed for the night. Um, so there was a choice issue in there to go the path I went, but I wasn't overly stressed by it. But it certainly made me think about the when you make bookings and I need to be more careful about checking the bookings and making the dates sure the dates are correct. And of course I've had the consequences of that, which was quite a large financial consequence as well, um, to deal with this week. Which made me think even more that it's really, really important that you confirm, and you're not just check and double check your bookings to make sure that you've got the right nights booked.
Mm.
I
Okay.
know when I was booking it was quite confusing because do you count the nights or do you count the days? And I was a bit confused by all that.
Okay. We were talking about different things. I was talking more about your presentation in Australia for Carbon. You
Oh,
were more of taking a leadership role in that situation, um, and how you
oh
felt
well,
about
for
that.
me that wasn't I wasn't out of my comfort zone in that because I'm been a teacher for 20, 30 years. So
That's
that
true.
was um that was not putting me out of my comfort zone at all.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
teaching adults this time.
Well, and you're teaching people that want to listen too, so
Yeah.
That's true
not
too.
there by choice.
Um, I was thinking for me, starting this group was a little different, but I've got experience with Zoom calls and Zoom groups in the crypto space, but you know, talking about life lessons and how to be a better man, that seemed a bit, what's the word, presumptuous. Who am I to talk about such things when, I've had lots of failure in my life, but still pushing. So
Yeah. Don't give up.
I think, yeah, if it's something that you care about, definitely don't give up. And that's another thing I wanted to maybe talk about is the don't quit thing. I actually wrote um, a Facebook post on this, in that you shouldn't quit what you're doing unless you have a better plan. Um, because just
Mm.
to quit and then stop and then not improve as a person is going to be kind of a miserable way to live. So
Good
if you
point.
have a
Yeah.
project and it's not working out, fine, do what you can to fix it. But just quitting and not doing anything is probably think of yourself as a failure if you keep up that pattern.
Yeah, that's interesting because recognizing when to quit is also really important.
Hmm.
Like there are times where you're flogging a dead horse, and you at some stage you've got to realize that and make the change. And making the change can also then free you up to do something else. But seeing something else while you're in that situation can be really difficult. So,
Right.
so in theory, what you're saying is great, but in practice, sometimes it needs to come about the other way.
Yeah, let me finish my thought on that because I think we're on the same page. So the example I gave is, if you're 5'2" and you have no athletic ability, but you have a burning desire to play professional basketball, it's probably not going to happen, no matter how much you want it. So that's
Yeah,
probably a good thing to quit. And then if you still want to be in basketball, maybe you become a coach or a salesperson for the organization or something like that. Um, that was my
water boy.
yeah. There you go, water boy. Still
I
be
got a good
around the
one for
game.
you
Mm.
along those lines. So, if
Okay.
you were a 5 foot something gymnast or whatever you would want to say, fairly athletic person, and you're wanting to do high jump, it's not really going to work. But pole vaulting would.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's something that's
Yeah.
still athletic
And well, it's
and
basically the same thing, except
yeah,
your size and strength and flexibility and whatnot will benefit you in that
yeah,
activity, whereas it wouldn't benefit a taller, heavier person.
true.
good point. Yeah,
Or a horse jockey, something like that. So
Yeah.
that's another
yeah,
one.
But yeah, I do really think I saw it lots of times when I was teaching kids that had unrealistic goals.
Mm.
And just to give an example, I was teaching a woodwork class, and there was one boy there that just wouldn't stop watching football videos. Okay, it was Australian League was the code, which it's a little bit different than your American football, but it's the same idea, And he'd been selected to be in the junior in one of the local team junior development squads. And so all he would do is watch videos. He wasn't worried. He didn't do any schoolwork. He wasn't interested in school because he was going to be a professional football player and make a fortune.
Mm.
And I haven't seen his name in the team yet, and this is like 10 years later.
Mm.
um, so um, I think you can have your goal for some, reach out for a great goal like that, but you do need a backup plan as well because you can't. There's this argument about, well, if you've got a goal like that, you've got to give it everything.
Hmm.
And if you don't, then you're not committed to it. But what happens if it doesn't work?
Yeah, that's a
must
good
be
point.
Be,
devastating. Hey,
I'd be interested to know, what happened to him actually.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I would
but
think
but
the
yeah,
odds of him succeeding would be very high, very difficult. Only a few people get to do that. So,
well, exactly. Yeah, it's like playing for our country's top team, the All Blacks. Every child aspires to it, but there's only 26 people in the team,
hmm.
and a lot of them are in that team for years and years and years. So there's probably only two or three spots come up every year.
Yeah.
Um, and boy, it's a competitive to get in there.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, anything else on that before we move on? All right. Well, I need to go to the dentist in a little while, so I'm going to wrap up our recorded portion here, and then we'll talk a little bit off the record and then I will move on to my next endeavor. So if you're watching on the recording, appreciate that. Much rather see you live, and see you next Thursday night, Friday morning. Bye.